Greetings to those who watch below. Before we start to get into today's stories, I'd like to say thank you to those who dwell below, an exclusive channel membership that helps you support the channel further and also gets you shout outs at the start of every video. So thank you to Steffi Ray, Lefty Kim, M.A. Way, Julie B, Christina Groves, Crispy LK Chris, Canopsia, Tegan S, Tesos Keramaris, LT Punisher 666 and Wicked Witch. If you'd like to join them, make sure to check out the link in the description box. You can also find me on Instagram at brimstone_below and on Facebook at the Brimstone Below Horror Channel. Also, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to both this channel and to Creepypasta.com's official YouTube channel where I host their videos. But for now, sit back, relax and enjoy. Are We Stalked by Spirits? By SammieJoe. I have been dating my boyfriend for a year and a half now. When we first met, I noticed one morning that he had 2 big scratches down his back. He then told me that he had always woken up with random scratches. These scratches are also in places that he could not possibly inflict on himself. Some are deep and last for weeks, some even leave scars. As long as he can remember, he has always felt a presence of some sort around him. Once when he was younger, he was sitting in a car talking with a friend. They were alone, talking for about an hour. The whole time, the car was shut off and not operating. She started talking to him about ghosts. My boyfriend told her that he gets uncomfortable talking about such things, since every time he does, something unexplainable always ends up happening. He started to feel uncomfortable and agitated. Then, all of a sudden, the motor for the automatic window in the back driver's seat started humming loudly out of control. Then stopped. Strange things started happening around me since he started staying with me. I had lived in an apartment with friends for about 4 months prior to meeting him, and never had any prior experiences with paranormal situations myself. One night, we had fallen asleep on the couch. While asleep, I felt 3 hard nudges on my shoulder. I then asked my boyfriend to please stop. I felt one more harder nudge. Frustrated, I turned to him to tell him to stop and saw that he was fast asleep. Later, I moved in with him into an apartment. When we first moved in, during the day, we were inspecting our new place. Walking through the kitchen towards our bathroom and bedroom area, we caught a quick glance at what appeared to be a dark shadow the size of an adult cat running. It didn't come from around the hallway corner, it just seemed to appear and then very quickly made its way behind the refrigerator and disappeared. It appeared so lifelike that it startled us both and made us both stop suddenly. We looked and there was no animal or anything behind our refrigerator, not even a space to which it could escape or hide. My boyfriend would work out of town all week. My sister was over and we were cleaning. I was in my bathroom and saw a quick black shadow go past my mirror, heading down the hallway into my bedroom. Thinking it was my boyfriend surprising me by coming home early, I ran into my bedroom and no one was there. I walked out into the living room where my sister was and asked her if anyone had come inside. She told me no. My boyfriend wasn't due home for another 2 days. He surprised me later that night by coming home. My sister had stayed with us for a few weeks. She was sleeping on the couch one night. My boyfriend had just arrived home from working out of town. Mind you, nothing happens while he's away, only the days he returns or the day before he returns. One night, while she started drifting off into sleep, she was startled by the television flipping through channels. Then it turned off. She was so frightened she came to wake me up. I told her the TV was fine and to go back to sleep. She slept that night with all the lights on. A few days later, my boyfriend and I were leaving the apartment. We shut off the TV, turned around to walk out of the room, and it came back on. We shut it off again and left. Thankfully, there were no other incidents with that television. One time, I had gone with him out of town. It was dark out, about 1 in the morning. He would have to drive down some dirt roads in Westport, New York. There was nothing but woods and a few houses. He had to pick up and drop off his company vehicles there. We were unloading our stuff from the company vehicle into our truck to head back home. I then heard whispers coming from the woods across the road. At first, I didn't pay any mind to it, until I heard it the second time, along with some movement, and grabbed hold of my boyfriend. He asked, "What? What's wrong?" I said, "Shh, did you hear that?" He told me no, he hadn't heard anything. I was so scared that I had jumped into the truck through the driver's side because I did not want to walk around to the passenger side. The most frightening thing that recently happened that made me believe him more was an incident involving my own child. We were staying at my father's house. The upstairs is open, kind of like a loft. My boyfriend had gotten up to use the bathroom. I did not feel him get up out of bed, nor did I wake up when he had turned on the lamp. I did, however, wake up to see him staring at the bed my son was sleeping in, kind of crouched down. I then asked, "What are you doing?" He told me, "Nothing, I have to go to the bathroom." He went downstairs, used the bathroom, and returned to bed. The next morning, I asked him why he was hunched over staring at my son last night. He then asked me if my sister had come home in the night and crawled into bed with my son. I told him no, she had been gone to her boyfriend's for the past few days. He then told me he saw the outline of a small body laying covered up in bed next to my son, with its back to my son. He said he had the strongest, almost uncontrollable urge to reach out and touch the leg of whom he thought was my sister, but then reason came to play that it would be weird if he had touched my sister in bed while she was sleeping, so he didn't. One night, we were walking down my father's road. We were in an argument. It was dark and I wanted to go back to the house. We were approaching the only street light at the end of the road. I heard noises in the woods, and at first brushed it off as animals. Being from the North Country, you get used to some noises. I then realised these weren't animal sounds we were hearing. I looked up and caught a glimpse of a woman stepping out of the woods toward the road, towards us. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached the streetlight. I was terrified. I'd never seen anything like that before. He told me to calm down and keep walking. I refused and called my sister to come pick me up. We were 2 miles away from Dad's house. I got into the car and left my boyfriend there. He then called me, saying he was walking back. Then he screamed, and the phone sounded as if it were thrown. He called me back and begged me to go get him. I picked him up at the end of the street. There were 3 deep scratch marks down his face. He then told me, while extremely shook up, that the phone had felt as if it were ripped out of his hands. I then asked him what had happened to his face. He was unaware of the marks, but said he had felt a burning sensation. He looked and became even more frightened to see the marks on his face. I see shadows. Once, at night at the end of my bed. We now live in a different apartment and have strange things happen here as well. Doors opening right in front of us. With our closet door, you have to actually turn the knob to open it. It won't just pop open. But some days you hear the knob jiggle and actually see it turn. Then it slowly opens up. No wind or anything else interfering. Is there something or some things following my boyfriend? It doesn't seem as if it's the same spirit. Sometimes we don't feel threatened, while other times we are terrified and attacked. Does my boyfriend attract things that we cannot understand? Or is it something else? Scared of my own home after 12 years living there, by Barragond 43. I've been living in the same home for more than 12 years and I have never had a problem. But around 4 or 5 months ago, weird goings on have started that are creeping me out. Now, to put it into context, I'm a big guy at 5'11" and 110 kilos, and have travelled a lot and spent some time living in creepy places, along with indigenous people. My old job allowed me to travel and work in remote locations. My last posting was in the outback of Australia with an Aboriginal tribe. Until my last son was born and I decided enough was enough, I got a shift working for a port company part-time, where my shifts are varied and I can work any one of 3 shifts. Sometimes I get home early in the morning and will crash on the couch so not to wake anybody up, which is when all the weird stuff started happening. I came home one night about 2 a.m, went into the kitchen and got a drink, which is when I heard someone walking down our hallway into our lounge. Thinking it's my daughter coming in to say hi, I walk out there only to see no one, which is when I hear them walking into the laundry room and into our kitchen. So I backtrack into the kitchen to give my daughter a hug, only to find there's no one there and I can hear the walking going back up the hallway. So I walk up the hallway into my daughter's room, looking for her, only to remember that she wasn't home and was spending the weekend at her grand's. This is when I had the sudden urge that something was going to attack me. I don't get scared easy. I've been attacked by all manner of wildlife, and I was never afraid, but at that moment I knew I had to get out of that room. Whatever it was wanted to hurt me, so I backed out of the room and made my way up to the lounge, turning on the lights in the hallway, and the shadow in my daughter's room was so pitch black that the light did not affect it. I didn't sleep that morning at all, and since then my daughter has been complaining that someone is climbing up to her top bunk and lying next to her, or grabbing at her. I can attest to this, as the bed is quite squeaky, and I can hear someone climbing up even when she's not home. I can't sleep in the lounge anymore, as when I do, I get woken up by something shaking the couch and screaming at me. Even during the day, walking around the house, you get the feeling of someone watching you, and the rooms will seem to darken with a fading smell of perfume. Also, my 2-year-old is so afraid that he won't go anywhere in the house on his own, and if he realizes he is alone, he will bolt and hide under the table, crying and shaking, but is fine anywhere else, just not our house. A few nights ago, I crashed on the couch after a night shift, only waking to someone pulling me off the couch and screaming at me. Thinking it's my wife and that something is wrong, I belt to the bedroom to get the kids, which is when I felt something ripping down my arm, cutting it. There was nothing in our hallway. Handprint on His Chest by Rachael-Lucas. I've been dating my boyfriend for 2 years. I've never had any sort of paranormal experience until I met him. For a while now, we've had a lot of things happen to us. He's woken up from nights with scratches and bruises on his body. Those things never overly bothered me until something that happened the other night. This is why I'm here. I'm so scared for him. The night before last, he said he had a dream that we were in our apartment. He heard bongo drums playing in the kitchen, just a steady boom, boom, boom kind of beat. So he said he got up to see what was going on. He said the mallet that was playing them was moving by itself and got more vigorous as he got closer. The mallet then raised up, came straight at his face, stopped and dropped on the floor in front of him. He bent down to pick the mallet up, and as soon as he raised back up, he says something which he describes as the devil was standing directly in front of him. When he sees the devil grabbed his chest and dragged him down our hallway. My boyfriend tried to struggle out of his hands. The devil pulled him into a dark bedroom. He said he could see flashes of his face, but mostly it was just dark. Anyway, my boyfriend got away and went to go get his gun. He said he shot the devil, and it fell on the floor. As soon as he did, the devil split into 2. He says when he saw both of them, he turned around into the living room and it was completely dark, with candles everywhere. He tried to run out of the door, but when he opened it, all he saw was a cavern cave type thing. He woke up shortly after that. This dream occurred at around 2:54 AM. I've noticed that a lot of things that happen in our house happen at this exact time. But for the reason for telling about this dream, he woke up that morning and had a huge, non-human handprint on his chest. It looked like a burn, it was so red, and welted up. He also had 4 to 6 long scratches on the side of his stomach. Typically, I wouldn't be too worried, but having a dream with the devil in it and waking up with the markings that you would have gotten in the dream really freaks me out. Also, he couldn't have done it to himself, because he's broken his wrist so many times that he couldn't even touch his chest the right way to see if it was shaped like his hand. And the marking was way too big for my hand. We both checked. I'm just so scared. I don't want it to hurt him again, whatever it is. Demonic Entity, or What? By Cindanela. As far back as I can remember, there has been a presence with me. My boyfriend and I recently moved into our own place. That's where the story starts. It started with some creepy noises in the night, noises we wrote off as the house settling. Over the next few weeks, things got worse. I started hearing scratching on the wall all night long, right above my boyfriend's head. It kept me up for hours at a time. I thought we had a mouse, but every time I woke my boyfriend up, it would stop. Suddenly, the doors would open without wind, mainly the balcony door in both the kids' rooms. Water would suddenly drip for a long period of time out of the master bath. It almost made a rhythm. Then, it got scary. After being up for a few nights because of the scratching, as my boyfriend sat by the computer in the room with his back to the door, I saw it. A black shadow, the appearance of a male figure wearing a hat, slowly walking past our bedroom door. I said I just saw him, and with that, he was gone. Things only escalated from there, always while my boyfriend slept or was out of the house. We had a little housewarming with a couple of friends and talked ghost stories. That night, the scratching noises got louder and more persistent, again stopping each time I woke up my boyfriend. That's when it all got worse. While showering, writing appeared on the glass door. When I got out of the shower, scratches appeared on my back, a perfect left on my left in about the area of my kidneys, and a cross or plus sign a bit higher on my right side. That's when my boyfriend started to believe all this to be real. He had watched me shower and start to get dressed while it happened. I could not have marked my own back in those places perfectly. Then I sought out help from a medium I know in Hawaii, and she told me to get sage and smudge the house. She had me place garlic and rock salt under my bed, and pour salt water down all the drains. I got the information and sent my boyfriend to get sage. While he was gone, stuff really stirred up. I fell asleep for a moment while my 10-year-old made bracelets in her room and my 5-year-old was downstairs watching TV. Suddenly, my bedroom door slammed shut. Not a window was open in the house. I got up and ran to the door, and it was stuck. Not locked, but being held. I called for my oldest, thinking she was playing a prank. She came running. We both tried to jiggle the doorknob. Nothing would open it. I went out my balcony into the girls' room and around to the other side of my bedroom door. Still nothing would work. I came back into my room and opened the door easily with no resistance. After that, I waited outside with the kids until my boyfriend got back. When he did, I sent them to my brother-in-law's and smudged my house. I decided to record it on my phone. It went uneventfully through most of it, but when I went back downstairs, doors began slamming. First the bathroom, then the master bedroom, lastly the girls' room. Frightened, I came upstairs and grabbed my phone and walked to my brother-in-law's house. When we reviewed the tape, you can hear growling. I didn't hear that while being there. A while later, my boyfriend went back to get some things we needed for dinner, and also videotaped it on his phone. The sage was hidden by an empty milk jug. That made no sense that it had fallen on its own, and all the drawers in the master bathroom were open. The next night, I sought the help of a shaman who did some work on me, saying the entity was attached to me and jealous of my boyfriend. After her 2 hours of work on my chakra and releasing this so-called entity, I felt tired and hungry, but a little better. A few days passed uneventfully. Then, dreams of cockroaches crawling on me started up. I jumped up a few times, searching the bed for them, and turned up nothing. Those dreams shortly turned to hallucinations that I couldn't understand. The fourth night, my boyfriend started having the same dreams. Then, the scratching was back, and a crunching noise and a huge smell of vinegar and sage that made me sick. I hadn't slept well in days, and it just kept escalating. My boyfriend lost his phone, something he never has out of his hands. 3 scratches appeared on my back shortly after my medicine bag was missing from between my mattress where I had placed it because the shaman told me to. It returned to the top of my mattress later that day. Afraid to really use it, I placed it on my nightstand until I talked to my shaman. When she gave me the okay to carry it with me, I went to go get it, and it was gone again. At work that day, a cockroach crawled on my leg. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them, it was gone. That night, a priest came over to do a blessing. He stuttered his prayers, his hand shook as he read the Bible, and he rushed out of there after finishing as if he had seen a ghost. Hi guys, thank you so much for listening to today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, making sure to hit that notification bell so that you never miss a video. So, until next time, sleep tight.